Hi, this is Mark. Welcome to Buck Country Woodyard. It's a nice sunny February day. It's about 35 degrees outside, but it's nice and sunny. Not a lot of wind today, which was good because last couple of days have been windy, and I'm not a big fan of the wind when it's cold out. So today, I just skidded this tree out of the woods down by the house. Almost had a little mishap with the tractor, but anyway, I won't bore you with that story. But I'm gonna kind of gather some of the logs that are, that I've already cut down and haven't put on my wood pile. Now that I've got that a little organized, I'm gonna put some of those there so they can be staged and ready. Next time I'm gonna buck some up and keep the process going of building the inventory. So I'm gonna do about 3 or 4 of those, and then I'll probably have to break from that. I'm gonna work on the Eastonmade. In my last video, you might have seen that I'm having trouble with the knife kind of being slow to return. So I think from what I looked at online and when I've contacted Eastonmade, I need to check the detent settings, or the kind of unscrew that a bit and see if that relieves the, that adjusts the, how fast the return is. So I'm going to work on that, and then I may do some more. I'll probably have some time tomorrow too. We're going to head out of town this week, so trying to do a few things to kind of get out of the way before our trip. So with that in mind, I'm going to I skidded this out, so now I'm going to put it in the pile, and then we'll go on to our next log. All right, let's go grab that log. Let's come back for the on that existing pile over there, the sycamore tree. I don't want to stack these high because they're going to fall off, hurt me or the dogs, whatever, so I don't want to do that. But I'm going to put a few more logs here before I go to the next area. Punky on that one side on that log. I think we'll have some good firewood for this part of it. I don't think the whole log is punky like that. So. Now that I'm looking at this, I can't talk. Let's try again. Now that I'm looking at this a little closer, this log is pretty big. Size and slope are always hard to tell on camera, but it's a pretty good sized log. I don't think I'm going to try to drag this whole thing out. That's unnecessary strain and risk on the tractor. Maybe you can see the size as I get closer over here. See, even though this has got a hole down at that end and some here, I think there's this big enough log where it's going to be some good firewood. You know, I think, what is that? At least 26, 28 inches. Fairly long. So like I said, I think I'm going to cut this in a smaller section. So I'll probably cut that branching piece off there and cut this in half. Let's go from there. And again, while I got the saw going, I need to clean a little of this up. And here's our other fallen rotten tree over here that I'm not going to try to salvage much, if anything. I don't think anything from that for firewood. It's too rotten. But I do need to clean it up, at least the end that's going off into the field. So I might start on that. So as often is the case, my grabbing a couple logs for the wood piles while I'm going to do that is going to end up to be a little scope creep, as we say at work. So I'm going into some other things. But I'm out here, so I'm going to do that. So let me get the saws going and we'll go from there. Okay, I think we're about wrapped up for this project. I'll have to go check the time and see what else I'm going to get into. So we got this oak all moved up to the wood yard, cut up a little bit, and then I have this tree that was fallen, that was fallen into the field. I got it cut up enough to get it off the field, and I found a couple of pieces of usable firewood that I'll take back here on my last trip back. And then while I was back here, I didn't end up cutting a lot of brush, which I keep procrastinating that. I need to get that done. I did find some trees that were pretty well damaged. They're pretty young trees, but ouch, it's got some thorns here. I'm gonna take a few of these back to the wood yard too. Probably not right now, but I cut them up enough to move them, so we'll get that done. So for now, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Take care.